How are you?
I am good, Coyle. I pulled out all the stops for you. As you can see, you've got the wonderful backdrop, and I have my car. I'm in the car park at work. It's just gone 6:30 in the morning.
Oh
Night.
wow.
Where you're in New York?
I am, yeah, in the city in
Oh
Manhattan.
God, that looks terrible. You've got an awful view.
Thank you.
That
No,
must be.
I know. I,
Oh,
I I love where I am. Very lucky. Yeah, it's a good spot. It's a good
oh,
spot.
mate. We have actually spoken before via email. We did an email interview in late 2022, and I christened you the Shoegaze Elvis Presley. I don't know if
Oh
you.
yeah. That's one of my favorite descriptions. I love that. Yeah, I've used that many a time. That's a good one. Shoot Elvis Presley. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I was very. You seem quite taken with it.
Yeah.
Now, mate, you're a man who you recently celebrated your girlfriend's birthday. First question, what did you do for it? And two, as someone who writes a lot of love songs, does she wonder if a lot of them are written about her?
Um ha- Yeah. Oh, of course, it was in an email. I was trying to figure out how you could possibly know that. Yeah. Yeah. No questions asked with the love songs. I think it's easier and safer that way.
Wise man, wise man.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, Matt, you have really got out of your stylistic comfort zone and you've written a song with the word love in the title. What can you tell me about True Love Forever?
I know, yeah, it's not a miserable heartbreak song. Yeah, so it basically comes from a project that I've been working on for about a year and a half, with um, a company here in the city called Third Rail Projects, and they're an immersive theatre company, and we basically have taken Love Kills, which is my first solo record, um, very much a sad, concept heartbreak record, and created a piece of theatre out of it, and yeah, and it was obviously as we dived into kind of building out the plot and the experience for the audience, it can't all be 2 hours of misery. So there needs to be some kind of journey and story. So True Love Forever, actually, I wrote it during kind of a workshop of putting the show together last year, and it's essentially the moment in the experience, the piece of theater where two people find each other for the first time, and so it really is literally just a description of that. Have I figured it out? Is this true love forever? That's literally what it is and where it came from. So, kind of writing it, I tried not to overthink the lyrics, overthink the feel of it. It seemed to sound good to sing, and seemed to match pretty well the moment in the show. So yeah, and then we kind of used the song as a way to announce the collaboration and the show, and it seemed, it's also the title of the show, True Love Forever, so it seemed the perfect way to kind of uh, announce it and reveal it to the world. So
The video for it is just absolutely adorable. Though I have to ask, do you recommend dancing with random strangers on New York subways?
no. that would that would not end well for anyone involved. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah, we got so that is essentially the cast. The sort of 10-person ensemble cast that we've been working with, and that's who essentially is in the video, directed by Janine at Third Rail Projects. And yeah, we got lucky. I mean, you go down into the subway to try film anything, you're in, it's up to the lap. You're in the lap of the gods, whether or not you're gonna get anything usable, or it's just gonna be madness the entire time. But everyone kind of like behaved, and even though we shot it over a couple of days, um, just after rush hour, so there's still people around, but people were like so well behaved. I was proud of us New Yorkers. It was everyone kind of stayed on one end of the train or kind of walked around or sort of just watched a lot. There's a sort of an audience for a lot of it as well. Um, yeah, kind of miraculously managed to get away with filming it, which is good.
Yeah, man. Well, I feel like New York, you would have to do something pretty outrageous in order to get a reaction out of people who use the New York subway very often. Because if it's not crazy people shouting at one another, people filming TikToks, like what's it
Yeah.
going to take to actually shock people in New York?
I guess, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I think usually someone always wants to get involved. That's the thing. I figured someone would always be like dancing through the scene or naked through the scene, or so I just figured there'd be too much craziness to actually get it done. But yeah, everyone was like, whatever, for the most part, which I guess I should have anticipated. That's probably the reaction.
Now you're actually credited in it. Did you? I've only watched the video once. Did you actually make an appearance in the video itself?
Just kind of awkwardly at the end, yeah. Yeah, I'm like sort of there at the end. I didn't want to make any appearance, but I got my arm twisted, so I was
Uh,
like, "Fine."
it's your
I
Hitchcock
just kind
moment,
of
mate.
sneak in at the end. That was about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Now,
right.
was this project originally called Choreomania, or is that something different?
That's a different project. That's another musical that is a bit more of a traditional. I mean, it's pretty wild as a project, and we've not kind of fully revealed it to the world yet. But that's another musical project that I've been working on, which is kind of punky and a bit more political and uh, yeah, a bit more fiery and probably controversial when it's finally out in the world. True Love Forever is a little, yeah, safe for a concept, I think.
So, what are the obviously you've written a lot of songs throughout your life, but what are some of the challenges of writing music for a stage production as opposed to what you normally do?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a different type of songwriting for sure. It is obviously more theatrical. You're having to tell a story or propel a story sometimes with the song. Um, you're having to take on other, imagine different people's voices throughout a song, which is not something you always do in like traditional kind of pop or rock songwriting. But for the most part, I think why I'm kind of drawn to it is because you're able to write a concept album essentially, and I think the art form of the album is you know harder to kind of get across and be listened to, have people listen to it in the order and the manner in which you would like, because that's just not how people listen to music anymore. They kind of stream music and they pull a song here and there and it's all in a playlist, and they kind of pick one or two songs from your album, and maybe that's how most people will kind of listen to you. So I think with theater, it's like one of the few places, maybe other than film, the only place left where you can kind of create a concept album and write songs that work with other songs in a certain order to create a message or a feeling or a story for the listener. And if they're in the theater, they can't escape, so they have to sit and listen to it in the order that you intended. So I think that's what I love about theater, that you can tell a story in an album, or double album for the 25 songs in Choreomania or whatever it is. So it's yeah, I think that's what really draws me to it is the art of the concept album still being alive and well, I think.
Someone was mentioning recently, and I can't wrap my head around it. Who are these maniacs who listen to new albums on shuffle?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm like, I'm kind of uh traditional and romantic in my view of music, and I like to listen to it properly, and I write in that way. I mean, I thought about this year kind of releasing a bunch of singles, um without an album. And when I kind of sat down to do that, I don't think I just could do it. I was like, I have to write an album. I can't just write singles like this. It doesn't make sense to me. Probably never will. I know that's how a lot of artists release music now, but I just, yeah, I'm an
Mm,
album guy. It's just
yeah.
how I'm built.
Now, Funland was the soundtrack to my drive home the other day, and I remember thinking to myself that it would have been the perfect soundtrack for a show like Scrubs. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's not had its like moments yet with Sync. I think every album usually does so. At some point, it will. We'll see. I think are they bringing Scrubs back? Maybe they're bringing. Did I read they're bringing Scrubs back? Or
I
did I
think they
imagine?
might be working on a little, just like a one episode. I
Yeah.
know that's been in the pipeline for a while. So yeah, who
Maybe,
knows?
maybe you had a premonition. We'll see. We'll see.
So, mate, what kind of reaction did so obviously I in the music press I get 20-30 press releases a day, and I don't know why, but your press release to Here Comes My Baby jumped out at me, and listened to it and absolutely fell in love with it. That's how I became a fan of you. What have been the reactions to Funland?
It's been great. It's been great. For me, honestly, I've barely had a bad review. Touching wood now because I feel like I've just cursed myself. But no, I mean, I was thrilled with the reaction to Love Kills and to Funland. And you never, both of them were kind of weird. Love Kills was like I said, a concept album with no singles on it, almost purposely. Funland was, a bit more of a traditional record in the sense that I wanted to have a couple of songs that could be played on the radio on there, as well as a bit of a mix of styles here and there. It's not like a kind of one sort of tone all the way through it. So yeah, I was thrilled with the reaction to it, and it's I've only kind of been releasing music as a solo artist since just before the pandemic, so time is kind of all screwed. But essentially, not that long, even though it's longer than it seems. But that's time post COVID. So for me, it's like it's the start of almost like a new sort of chapter for me post being in a band for which I was in for a long time. So it's um, yeah, I'm thrilled with how Love Kills and Funland have been received, and yeah, I have a first single from my next album coming out in a couple of months, so I'm excited to get all that new music out as well, which I've been and working on the last couple of months. So yeah, it's awesome, and I think the freedom now of being an artist in the kind of the streaming age, I have purposely stayed away from being back on a major label or a major independent label, and the freedom to kind of write music at will from me is a total game changer, especially for someone obsessed with writing music as much as I do. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with how Finland was received. Shoegaze Elvis is my favorite phrase from all the all the reviews. I still use that from time to time. So yeah, hopefully the new stuff will be as well received, and yeah, keep going.
So what can you tell me about the new stuff? How do you reckon it stylistically compared to Funland and Love Kills?
It's a little different. I mean, it's there's a lot of similarities. I kind of I as always I had one idea when I started writing it, and then halfway through writing it, that completely changed. And then when I actually got into the studio over the last few weeks and kind of put a band together, my usual kind of band that I record with together to work on it, it took a different turn again, and yeah, it feels a little more like sonically, it's a little rawer. I think it's a little less kind of um shiny, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit more, sounds like some guys in a room playing, you know, guys and girls in a room playing a song together, which I like. It feels sort of a bit more not trying to think the right word without, I don't want to kind of slant people's perceptions of it before. Yeah, I'll just go with that. It just feels a bit more organic and raw, I think. But
Oh,
it's more up tempo. It's a bit more up tempo than I think Love Kills in Funland for the most part. You can dance to it, I think.
so we're not going full thrash metal yet.
No,
That's in the
that's
future.
I think that's the one genre I've still not released music in. So maybe I'm not cut out for that one. I don't know.
Well, you've already done a Christmas album, so I'm thinking a Coyle Girelli presents a thrash metal Christmas.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I could. I don't know how it'd sound, but I could give it a go.